I'm the Talking Skull, and this year I'm playing classic first-person shooters to draw a line from Wolfenstein 3D to Halo. This week, Red Storm joins Epic in the 1998 rush of new developers in the FPS scene with Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. I said Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. I don't think it's supposed to look like that. Out of the box, the current version of Rainbow Six being sold on GOG does not work. I don't mean it's glitchy or unstable, I mean it won't launch. And without accessible configuration files to fiddle with, you can't even attempt to fix it. DG Voodoo emulates the old graphics renderers that would have been used with Windows 98, so you can download that and get the game to launch, but it still doesn't look right. I couldn't fix this menu color glitch, and it kept switching back and forth between full screen and windowed. Even if you get the game to run, the few user reviews who provided these fixes have some bad news. It still functionally doesn't work. Mouse sensitivity is astronomical, walls will simply vanish into thin air, and so will hostages, preventing you from finishing levels. If I have to download external software, edit my registry, and cheat by editing level parameters in an external file just to get the game to a point where it'll run from start to finish and still glitch out constantly, I don't consider that playable. But the Ubisoft store is selling a different version. Let's see what the user reviews have to say on this one. Oh, Ubisoft doesn't allow user reviews. Good luck with that one. I won't be investing my money to find out if it works. My guess is it's the exact same files. The original version of Rainbow Six has been lost to time. There is good news, though. A year after its original release, Rainbow Six got a Nintendo 64 port, and it's not terrible. A lot is different. The player count has been halved, some missions are missing, and friendly AI has been lobotomized. Some guy just standing there!
God damn it, you dipshit.
You're also giving up smooth mouse controls for the fiddly C-stick. That said, this port plays about as well as any of the N64 shooters from the years past. Of course, that bar is,
You know what's funny? You see a lot of these early shooters and a lot of these first-person perspective games on a joystick, and their immediate assumption is to always have it navigate back to the center. Would you say that works better or is more disorienting since we've gotten more games?
Oh, it's definitely more disorienting. What are you talking about? Because it means you don't have full control of your vertical look. It's moving without you, and you have to be able to... You have to physically hold the stick in place.
Right.
Instead of being able to just, like, nudge it to tweak your aim. You have to physically hold it out of center, and that's way less comfortable and harder to manage.
Oh, fuck.
You've been shooted. Yeah, we still hadn't figured out console shooters in 1999. This version does rework the UI for console though, and most importantly, it can still be played today. On top of that, we get split screen. McCanary and I played it together that way, and it was a blast. If Blood and GoldenEye took the first tentative steps toward the tactical shooter genre, Rainbow Six crystallizes it. Kit management, modern equipment, squad mates, ultra-lethal guns, comms, slower movement, and a pure focus on objectives with no reach-the-end missions make Rainbow Six the foundation on which this whole tactical shooter genre was built. Mission setup introduces RPG-esque operatives and their various stats. You assign your roster and select their kits, complete with tools like flashbangs and sensors. Once that's done, Rainbow Six hands you a map and asks you to plan out your route. This planning step is fascinating. At first, it seems totally useless, since you don't really know what you're looking at. As you play, though, you gain enough familiarity with the game to form real, workable plans.
We got one immediately in front of us.
Southeast.
Yeah. Then that goes under.
So we probably want to go down and left, and then go up that staircase and take them that way?
Yeah, I think so. They're all the way
We probably want to flash when we get up that staircase.
Yes. Alright, let's go for it and see what we're dealing with.
Your plan translates to waypoints during missions, helping you orient yourself and giving value to good planning. Your AI partners can even follow your path and take out any mobs they find along the way, though their ability to do that is more limited in the N64 version. Originally, Rainbow Six gave you a default plan. Instead of having to engage with the map and come up with your own path, the default plan gave you an on-rails walkthrough of the level. I hate this. Everything that's fun and unique about Rainbow Six boils down to thinking through the mission and figuring out the best plan of attack, from the broad-scale pathing to the moment-to-moment play around flashbangs and noise. If you're simply handed a path, it becomes mostly an execution challenge, and loses much of that luster. Additionally, the stronger friendly AI in the original release can clear most of the mission for you using the default path. My first attempt at playing the first mission, I got stuck at the entry because I couldn't figure out the default interact button. Eventually, my AI squad came around and let me in, with the hostage already in tow. Rainbow Six literally plays itself. I much prefer the N64 experience of forging your own way, with the AI acting more as backup. Creeping through hallways, feeling out hostile positions, throwing flashbangs, nothing played like Rainbow Six. These tense moments where you turn a corner and have half a second to aim and fire before you're dead come easy and often, and stages turn into little puzzle boxes where you find yourself accounting for every corner, every doorway, every balcony, every possible source of enemy fire before taking a deep breath and pushing in. There's an almost Hotline Miami-esque juxtaposition of careful planning versus panicked improvising, and while improvisation usually leads to a quick death, you still get that flash of exhilaration and the determination to do it better next time. Frequent conveyance and feedback issues can drag the experience down. We played through half the game before figuring out how to get hostages to follow us.
But also, I can't free these hostages. Wait, can I interact?
Listen, the only way to free the hostages is when when they and us are the only ones alive, Sean. That's the only way to be free in this game.
The thing that I read, you wanna know what it told me?
What?
One of the ways you can complete missions is by leading hostages to the beginning of the level.
But how?
It's a great question, Isaac!
How do I do that?
It's an amazing question!
Well, I guess I haven't tried everything. Yeah, what if I lead them to their death, Sean? Does that help me end them? Does that give me a solution? Interact with them at all? Can I command them at all?
Stand by.
Escort. How about that? Oh my god, Sean, I figured it out.
And this stealth mission. Ooh. Still, warts and all, Rainbow Six is a good time and a groundbreaking creation. This was the first attempt to emulate the fantasy of modern military combat, the first game to codify the slower, more considered style of FPS, and commits to the strategic side of the tactical shooter genre more than most of its successors with its planning mechanic. It won or was nominated for a number of awards in 1998, and eventually spawned many, many imitators. I don't necessarily recommend it today, but it's not a bad time if you want to give it a shot. Just please, don't pay money for the non-functional PC version. If this old stuff is interesting to you, check out the rest of my series on first-person shooters to see what I had to say about Quake and more. And if there's anything you think I should cover, leave a comment so I can see. Next week, we'll take a look at a game that was recommended on stream, Monolith's follow-up to Blood, Shogo Mobile Armor Division. Wait. Oh, not again. I need to explain what's happening here. From 1992 through 1996, DOS was the dominant PC gaming platform. None of these old DOS games run on Windows at all, so we're left with two options: emulate DOS or port the game. Thankfully, DOSBox is a fantastic emulator that works reliably. It also means only one piece of software needs to be maintained for all DOS games to run. Even official re-releases of these games are usually just running DOSBox under the hood. Only a select few games have true ground-up ports, mostly those made by Night Dive. But in 97 and 98, Windows overtook DOS as the more popular operating system for gaming. Any of these 90s Windows games will kind of, sort of work in later versions of Windows, with minor tweaking, so that's what most of these versions are. Barely modified Windows 95 or Windows 98 programs that aren't being actively maintained as new Windows versions and updates continually break the games further. On top of that, these games were among the first to be developed specifically for the first generation of 3D graphics cards. Graphics cards wildly dissimilar to the ones we use today, making them more complex to render than their DOS predecessors. Unreal, Rainbow Six, Shogo, Star Siege, none of these games work correctly out of the box, and even after significant troubleshooting, they'll still have issues. We're in desperate need of some dedicated fan project to get a functioning emulator or ports. You technically can get 90s versions of Windows installed on VirtualBox, but... yeah. And even once you've done that, there's no guarantee that you'll be able to get the game working right. For Shogo, I was lucky, and the GOG version at least runs for me. Not everyone is so lucky. Even so, I couldn't stop the constant screen flickering, the vanishing text and menus, and various other glitches. GOG's recommended solutions didn't help. There's an unofficial fan patch, but it's for the CD copy of the game and breaks the GOG version. I tried installing this mod that pre-packages DG Voodoo and some other fan fixes, and it did stop the flickering, but now I'm a ghost? This is DG Voodoo causing this, not any of the fan work. Maybe software rendering would fix it.
He tells me he was drifting in space the whole time and that...
I don't know how to help you. Instead, next time, we'll see Valve plant their stake in the fertile soil of 1998.